하고 팔을 잡고 그대로.
The movie opens with a man named Tae-sik, who has just been released from prison after 10 long years. As Tae-sik heads back to his hometown, he notes down things he plans to do in a small notebook, crossing them out one by one as he accomplishes them. He then visits a diner called Sunflower, owned by his adoptive mother, intending to reunite with her after so many years apart. However, the woman is not there and won't return until later in the evening. Instead, Hee-ju, her daughter, greets him and suggests he visit a public bathhouse first and come back afterward. Following her advice, Tae-sik heads to the bathhouse, checking off more activities from his notebook. There, he seems confused while unlocking a locker, accidentally annoying a security guard who thinks Tae-sik is deliberately wasting his time. The guard starts bullying Tae-sik because of his nerdy appearance, but when Tae-sik removes his clothes, revealing intimidating tattoos all over his body, the guard immediately backs off, assuming Tae-sik must be a dangerous gangster. Elsewhere in the city, some local thugs working for gang leaders Changmu and Yang-ki are seen harassing a young woman on the street. Two policemen nearby witness the scene but choose to remain passive, ignoring what's happening right in front of them. Later, Tae-sik goes to a nightclub to meet Changmu, greeting him as an old friend. Changmu immediately shows deep respect toward Tae-sik, hinting that Tae-sik is no ordinary man. It quickly becomes clear that Tae-sik was once an influential gangster himself, highly respected in the city. Even Yang-ki behaves cautiously when Tae-sik visits him. Despite Yang-ki's outward friendliness, he secretly orders his men to monitor Tae-sik's every move during his time in town. Eventually, Tae-sik returns to the Sunflower Diner, finally meeting his adoptive mother. She warmly greets him, genuinely delighted to have him back home after so many years. Tae-sik sincerely apologizes for all the trouble he's caused in the past, but his mother quickly reassures him that she forgave him long ago. She clearly loves Tae-sik deeply, despite him not being her biological child. In contrast, Hee-ju openly shows hostility toward Tae-sik. She sees him as weak due to his nerdy and timid appearance, refusing to accept him back into their lives. That night, Tae-sik lies in bed, determined to fulfill his promise to his mother. He vows to never cry again, never drink again, and to stop getting into trouble, committing himself fully to becoming a better person. The following day, a man named Jo Pan-soo, who plans to run for office in the upcoming general elections, campaigns at the local market. He promises the merchants various benefits, trying to win their votes. But in reality, Pan-soo is a gangster boss who intends to take control of the entire city. At the police station, Tae-sik signs his parole agreement, acknowledging he'll be sent back to prison if he commits another crime. Min-suk, a police officer who recognizes Tae-sik from the past, warns him to leave town because the locals remember the chaos he caused years ago and still harbor resentment. However, Tae-sik passionately insists he has changed and is determined to become a better man. To prove it, Tae-sik even plans to have all his tattoos removed, symbolizing a fresh start. Unfortunately, the process is very expensive, forcing him to temporarily set aside his intentions. Later, Tae-sik's adoptive mother visits Pan-soo, confronting him about his plan to buy and demolish her beloved restaurant, Sunflower, in order to build an elite complex. She strongly warns Pan-soo that she'll fight back if his men keep causing trouble at her diner. The next day, Tae-sik starts working as a mechanic at a car repair shop. While on patrol, Officer Min-suk and his partner spot Tae-sik diligently working at the garage. Min-suk recalls Tae-sik's violent past, revealing that he was once bullied by Tae-sik himself during their school days. He explains how Changmu and Yang-ki were small-time thugs compared to Tae-sik. Many years ago, the city was ruled by a notorious gangster named Choi Do-pil, with Changmu and Yang-ki serving under him. Due to Tae-sik's constant troublemaking, Do-pil eventually ordered his men to eliminate him. However, Tae-sik fought back fiercely, defeating all attackers single-handedly and ultimately killing Do-pil himself, which led to his imprisonment. The movie continues as Changmu and Yang-ki rise up to lead the gangsters, partnering with Pan-soo after Tae-sik's imprisonment. One day, Min-suk and his partner visit the garage where Tae-sik now works and talk to his employer. Min-suk openly reveals Tae-sik's troubled past, but the employer dismisses it, saying he's satisfied with Tae-sik's hard work and good behavior. The next day, Tae-sik attends an English course taught by Hee-ju. To his surprise, one of the teachers recognizes him from their school days. They greet each other warmly and chat about old times. On his way home later that day, Tae-sik is suddenly attacked by Sung-jin, a gangster with a crush on Hee-ju who is jealous of Tae-sik's closeness with her. Sung-jin and his men drag Tae-sik to an empty warehouse and beat him mercilessly. But Tae-sik, determined never to fight again, refuses to retaliate. When his clothes tear, revealing his intimidating tattoos, Sung-jin and his men stop abruptly, stunned by the realization that Tae-sik is not someone to mess with. After this incident, Hee-ju begins to soften towards Tae-sik and even helps treat his injuries. Elsewhere, Pan-soo celebrates his election victory after securing the most votes. Now a government official, he plans to hand over management of the city's biggest nightclub to either Chang-moo or Yang-ki, his trusted lieutenants. Both men eagerly compete for Pan-soo's approval. But first, he gives them a condition. Whoever can successfully force the Sunflower Restaurant's closure will win control of the nightclub. Determined to secure his position, Chang-moo immediately orders his men to vandalize the restaurant and pressure Tae-sik's adoptive mother into selling her property. However, Chang-moo finds Tae-sik there and instantly apologizes, pulling his men back to avoid a direct confrontation. Chang-moo angrily confronts Yang-ki later, accusing him of withholding information about Tae-sik living at the restaurant. Meanwhile, Tae-sik receives his first salary from the car repair shop and joyfully buys thoughtful gifts for his family: shoes for his adoptive mother and a camera for Hee-ju. The notebook Tae-sik always carries turns out to be a precious gift from his mother during a prison visit. Ever since then, Tae-sik has carefully written down all his experiences and goals. Hee-ju discovers the notebook and secretly writes down a new goal for him: a family picnic. Soon after, Tae-sik, Hee-ju, and their mother happily enjoy their picnic together, creating warm memories and taking family pictures. One evening, Tae-sik meets his old friend Byung-jin, who now works as Pan-soo's personal driver. Byung-jin reveals Pan-soo's plans to build a large shopping mall, but Tae-sik's mother's refusal to sell the Sunflower Restaurant blocks the project. Byung-jin warns Tae-sik to remain cautious because Pan-soo is ruthless. Unknown to them, Chang-moo's men spot their conversation and mistakenly report back to Chang-moo and Yang-ki that Pan-soo is recruiting Tae-sik against them. Fearing the worst, Chang-moo and Yang-ki immediately plan to take down both Tae-sik and the Sunflower Restaurant. The next day, Chang-moo and his gang violently raid the Sunflower Restaurant, intimidating Tae-sik's mother into selling the property. When Hee-ju arrives home and sees the chaos, she bravely hits Chang-moo with her camera and runs to tell Tae-sik. By the time Tae-sik and Hee-ju return, the gangsters are gone, leaving their mother devastated and cleaning up the wreckage. After helping her fix the mess, Tae-sik confronts Chang-moo and demands a meeting with Pan-soo. At their meeting, Tae-sik respectfully begs Pan-soo to stop harassing his adoptive mother's restaurant. Recognizing Tae-sik's reputation as a former gangster, Pan-soo offers him a powerful position working for him. Tae-sik politely refuses, insisting that he is happy with his simple life now. Humiliated and angered by Tae-sik's rejection, Pan-soo plots revenge. He schemes to frame Tae-sik, planning to have his men start a fight at Tae-sik's workplace and then blame it on him, forcing Tae-sik back to prison. The following day, Pan-soo's thugs attack the car repair shop, brutally assaulting both Tae-sik and his employer. Pan-soo quickly informs the police that Tae-sik started the fight, hoping they'll arrest him. However, Tae-sik remains calm, refusing to fight back even when severely beaten. Because of his restraint, the police have no grounds to arrest him, ruining Pan-soo's plan completely. The story continues as Sung-jin visits the Sunflower Restaurant late one night and tells Hee-ju something shocking: that Tae-sik was the person who killed her older brother, Do-pil, many years ago. Hearing this, Hee-ju becomes extremely angry and confused. She immediately confronts her mother, demanding to know why she chose to adopt the very man who killed her biological son. Hee-ju's mother gently explains that after killing Do-pil, Tae-sik came to her on his knees, crying and begging for forgiveness. Because she saw sincere remorse in him, she forgave Tae-sik and decided to adopt him as her own son. After listening carefully, Hee-ju finally understands her mother's kindness. Feeling deep remorse, Tae-sik apologizes sincerely to Hee-ju and offers to leave the house immediately. However, to his surprise, Hee-ju tells him to stay. She forgives him and even thanks him, admitting that her brother Do-pil had always treated their mother cruelly and violently throughout his life. The next day, Tae-sik's adoptive mother bravely confronts Pan-soo and threatens to expose the crimes he committed in the past, particularly his involvement in ordering Do-pil to kill Tae-sik years ago. She reveals that she has clear evidence against Pan-soo that could easily send him to prison. Byung-jin, who overhears their conversation, quickly warns Tae-sik to be careful, knowing that Pan-soo would do anything, even kill, to protect himself. Soon after, Pan-soo puts his ruthless plan into action by ordering his men to attack Hee-ju. As she crosses the street, she's brutally struck on the head, suffering severe injuries that leave her hospitalized and fighting for her life. Devastated by the attack on her daughter, Tae-sik's adoptive mother finally agrees to sell the Sunflower restaurant to Pan-soo, believing this will protect her family from further harm. Later, Tae-sik visits Pan-soo to inform him about his mother's decision to sell the restaurant, announcing that they will soon leave town. However, Pan-soo cruelly demands something else, that Tae-sik's right hand be crippled, preventing him from ever fighting again. Byung-jin reluctantly carries out this grim order by cutting Tae-sik's wrist, but secretly makes only a minor, non-fatal wound, allowing Tae-sik to keep using his hand normally. Afterwards, Tae-sik visits Hee-ju, promising that no matter what happens, he will always protect her and her mother. Even though Pan-soo finally gets control of the Sunflower restaurant, he remains unsatisfied and decides to completely remove Tae-sik's mother, fearing she might still expose his past crimes. He orders Yang-ki to murder her and steal the evidence against him. Yang-ki follows through, killing Tae-sik's adoptive mother and staging it to look like a suicide. Tae-sik is heartbroken by the death of the woman who loved him unconditionally. Initially, he believes she committed suicide, but soon discovers Yang-ki's earring in her room. This clue leads him to the devastating realization that Yang-ki had murdered his mother on Pan-soo's orders. Overwhelmed with grief, Tae-sik breaks the promise he made to himself and his mother to never drink again. He drowns himself in alcohol, crying bitterly and mourning her loss. Meanwhile, Pan-soo and his gang celebrate their victory, believing they have finally achieved their goals, owning the Sunflower restaurant property and clearing the way for their new mall and elite area. Suddenly, their celebration is interrupted by the sound of someone sobbing. It's Tae-sik, deeply anguished and furious. He tells them he has broken his promise to his mother because of their cruelty, and now he will take revenge by eliminating everyone responsible. Tae-sik warns Byung-jin to leave immediately if he wants to stay alive. Then, single-handedly and driven by pure rage, Tae-sik confronts and kills all of Pan-soo's men, including Changmu and Yang-ki. Finally, after a fierce battle, he takes Pan-soo's life as well and sets fire to his nightclub. Badly wounded, Tae-sik remains seated amidst the flames, reminiscing about the happy time spent with his adoptive mother and Hee-ju. Soon after, he peacefully accepts death inside the burning building. The movie concludes as Hee-ju fully recovers from her injuries and becomes the top student in mathematics, fulfilling her dream. She warmly remembers the joyful moments shared with Tae-sik and her mother. The powerful moral of the story is about never giving up and sincerely facing past mistakes. Genuine remorse and a determined effort to change, as Tae-sik demonstrated, can inspire forgiveness and compassion from others. Tae-sik received second chances because of his true determination to become a better person.